Good evening, everyone, and welcome to you all tonight. It's lovely to see so many faces in the gallery. I welcome you to the Statutory Council meeting of Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2024 at the Euroa Community Conference Centre. My name is Tim Tamlin, and as Council's Interim Chief Executive Officer, I will preside over today's meeting as temporary chair until a mayor is elected, as prescribed in Council's governance rules. On behalf of our councillors and staff of the Strathbogie Shire, I thank you all for coming. The purpose of this meeting, amongst other things, is to elect the mayor and, if decided, a deputy mayor in accordance with sections 25 and 26 of the Local Government Act 2020. Firstly, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the places we live, work and play. We recognise and respect the enduring relationship they have with their lands and waters, and we pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Today, we are meeting on the lands of the Taungurung peoples of the Eastern Kulin Nation, whose sovereignty here has never been ceded. This public meeting is being streamed live via our website and made available for public access on our website, along with the official minutes of this meeting. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given in the event that your image is broadcast to the public. It is also assumed that your consent is given to use and disclose any of information that you share at the meeting, including personal or sensitive information, to any person who accesses those recordings or minutes. I'll now discuss the governance principles. Council considers that the recommendations contained in this agenda gives effect to the overarching governance principles stated in Section 9, Part 2 of the Local Government Act 2020. These principles are numbered 1 to 9 on page 4 of the agenda. So today we welcome the people in our public gallery and also those viewing this meeting through our live stream via website. This meeting is being held in accordance with Strathbogie Shire's governance rules. If we have technical difficulties during today's meeting, which means we are unable to stream the proceedings to the public, we will continue with the meeting given the public gallery is open. If a councillor has a conflict of interest in a matter, they will be asked to leave the meeting and no discussion on the matter will commence until we are sure they have done so. The person will then be contacted to rejoin the meeting after the matter has been considered and the vote concluded. I now note there are no apologies to this meeting. Councillors, are there any disclosures of conflicts of interest to be made under Chapter 2 of our Governance Rules and Division 2 of the Local Government Act tonight? Thank you, councillors. Noting there are no disclosures of conflict of interest. I'll now provide a summary of election results. Voting for the 2024 Strathbogie Council elections was held by postal vote and conducted by the Victorian Electoral Commission under the provisions of the Local Government Act 2020. Voting closed at 6 p.m. on Friday the 25th of October 2024. Counting of the votes and calculations of an unsubdivided council for 7 council representatives was determined using the proportional representation voting system. At the conclusion of the counting of the votes, the election manager from the Victorian Electoral Commission declared the following candidates elected at 2:30 p.m. on Friday the 8th of November 2024. The successful candidates in alphabetical order are Councillor Laura Binks, Councillor Greg Carlson, Councillor Claire Ewart-Kennedy, Councillor Vicky Hossel, Councillor Clark Holloway, Councillor Scott Jeffrey and Councillor Fiona Stevens. Congratulations to you all. Tonight, just note, in accordance with clause 35.1 of the Strathbogie Shire Council Governance Rules, public question time will not occur during the meeting called to elect a mayor following a council election declaration. We now move to the first item on tonight's agenda, which is located on page 6. This is to do with determination of the mayoral term of office. So, councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what that motion, your motion is? Councillor Binks.
Thank you, CEO Tamlin. Can I please move the motion on page 6 as is recommended, as is written, sorry, in the recommendation?
Thank you. That council determines the mayor be elected for a term of 1 year. Councillors, do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Stevenson.
Through the chair, I second. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is the motion opposed, or does any council wish to speak on the motion? No, I'll take that as a no. Councillors, I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. That being unanimous, the motion is carried. Thank you. Now I proceed to the nominations of mayor for the election of the mayor. Under section 25(1) of the Local Government Act 2020, a mayor must be elected at a meeting that is open to the public. Any councillor is eligible to be elected as mayor, and nominations for the office of mayor do not require a seconder. Section 12 of the Strathbogie Shire Council Governance Rules sets out requirements for determining the election of mayor. With the exception of the voting method, the general provisions of council governance rules apply in regards to the election of mayor and counting of votes. That the nominations may be made by any councillor for any councillor. Councillors can nominate themselves. I will ask all nominees to clearly indicate their acceptance of the nomination in this meeting. Any candidate can withdraw their candidature at any time during the election. If there is only one nomination, the candidate nominated must be declared to be duly elected. If I receive multiple nominations, the councillors present at the meeting must vote for one of the candidates in the order which nominations are received. Councillors, I now call for nominations. Councillor Holloway.
I nominate Claire Ewart-Kennedy.
Thank you, Councillor Holloway. Councillor Ewart-Kennedy, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Thank you. Councillors, I now call, are there any further nominations? Councillor Binks.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Fiona Stevens.
Thank you, Councillor Binks. Councillor Stevens, do you accept?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, I now call for any further nominations. As there are 2 nominations, no further nominations. Thank you, councillors. As there are 2 nominations, I move to section 12 in our governance rules. If there is more than one nomination, the councillors present at the meeting must vote for one candidate in the order which the nominations are received. In the event of a candidate receiving an absolute majority of the votes, that the candidate is declared to have been elected. For the purposes of this rule and in accordance with the Act, an absolute majority means greater than half of the total number of councillors of the council. So therefore, I'll now, councillors, request councillors in favour of Councillor Ewart-Kennedy, could you please raise your hands to indicate your support? So we have Councillor Jeffrey. You sure can. Councillor Holloway. Councillor Halsall, sorry. Halsall, thank you. Councillor Hewitt-Kennedy. And Councillor Clarkson. Councillors, that being an absolute majority of the votes, I now declare Councillor Hewitt-Kennedy as Mayor. Congratulations. Righto. Thank you. Now I have the pleasure, as interim CEO of the council, gives me great pleasure to invite our new mayor, Councillor Hewitt-Kennedy, to take the chair of the remainder of the statutory meeting and to address the council with a brief acceptance speech if she would like to do so. Yeah. Generally, I would suggest perhaps. Yeah, if the two, if you wouldn't mind, you could do a little bit of a swapsy around, that would be good. Because then. All the other stuff.
Firstly, thank you very much to all my fellow councillors for the ones that nominated me and voted for me, but also the ones that didn't. We're a team and we're going to work together as a team. Thank you to the council staff and thank you to the people who've turned up in the public gallery and who are viewing online. As a very proud rural girl, I grew up with council business in my blood. My mother did it for 13 years. My father-in-law did it here for 44 years. I'm committed to public service. That's who I am. It's what I've always done. I pledge to you, or I would say I would honour to my community, that when we go into the chamber as a council, we work together to represent you, our community. Your desires, needs, concerns are at the forefront of all decisions we make. And as the Mayor of the Strathbogie Shire Council, I'm very honoured to have that in the first year after an interesting period in our history. And I will work with every single community organisation and every single one of my councillors positively and collectively and collegiately to make sure that we deliver for you, the ratepayers who are requesting value for their rates, but also the things that they want in their community being met. We'll do our very best, and that's all you can ask of us. It's hard to put up your hand in public office, so please be gentle with all of us, but I promise to do the very best I can as Mayor, and I'm very, very humbled by this, and I also thank my lovely family too and my supporters. Thank you. So please bear with me as I go. I now return to agenda item 9.13, determination of the office of Deputy Mayor. Page 13, 9.13, determination of the establishment of the office of Deputy Mayor. Councillors, can I have a motion, please? And can you state what your motion is?
Madam Chair, I move the following motion, that Council establish the office of Deputy Mayor, number 1, and number 2, determine the term of the office for the Deputy Mayor to be for 1 year.
Thank you, Councillor Carson. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Binks. Thank you. Is the motion opposed, or does any councillor wish to speak to the motion? No. Councillors, I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour of the motion? Oh, of course. Sorry. So that's carried. The motion is carried. I will now proceed to the nominations of Deputy Mayor. The election of a Deputy Mayor follows the same process as the election of the Mayor. I will now call for nominations. Thank you, Councillor Carson. Councillor Jeffries, do you accept the nomination?
I do accept the nomination.
Okay. Yeah. Councillors, are there any further nominations for the office of Deputy Mayor?
I would like to nominate Fiona Stevens as deputy.
Yeah, Councillor Fiona Stevens, do you accept the nomination of Deputy Mayor?
I do. Thank you. Thank you, councillor.
So we've put both of those there. Sorry. So that's. Are there any further nominations for the office of Deputy Mayor? Right.
So we've done this before. Now we're looking for the absolute majority of votes.
Right.
This is sort of
Right. So do I just have to?
yeah.
So in the event, do I have to read this one?
Yeah.
In the event of a candidate receiving an absolute majority of the votes, the candidate is declared to have been elected. For the purpose of this rule and in accordance with the Act, an absolute majority means greater than half of the total numbers of councillors in the councillors.
So now you call for the vote for the first nominees, Scott Jeffrey.
Okay, they are read in order of nominating being received. Can I please have the voting for Councillor Scott Jeffrey to take the role of Deputy Mayor?
By show of hands.
By show of hands. Councillor Jeffrey, Holloway, Carlson and Hewitt Kennedy.
Beautiful. And that being an absolute majority.
And that being an absolute majority, Councillor Scott Jeffries is duly elected. Okay. Okay, so I just have to write that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations, Councillor Jeffrey. Everyone, please join with me in congratulating our new deputy, Scott Jeffrey, which we've just done that. Well, who may now like to say a few words?
He declined. No worries.
Councillors, we now move to the the oath or making an affirmation of office. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Binks.
Certainly, Mayor Hewitt Kennedy. I'd like to move the recommendation as written on page 19 of the agenda that one, council acknowledges the taking of the oath or making of an affirmation of office and the signing and dating of each before the interim chief executive officer on Tuesday, 12th of November 2024, and two, in accordance with section 30 of the Local Government Act 2020, include a record of the ceremony in the minutes of the statutory meeting of the council held on the 19th of November 2024, which is today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Binks. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor Stevens.
As read, thank you.
If no councillor indicates opposition.
So just.
Okay, right. Sorry, beg your pardon about that. Is the motion opposed or does any councillor wish to speak to the motion? No. Councillors, I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour by show of hand of the motion. Unanimous. That motion is carried. I now move to page 20, 9.16, determination of councillor expenses. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? Councillor Binks.
Thank you, Mayor Hewitt Kennedy. Can I please move the recommendation on page 20 as stated in, move the motion as stated in the recommendation in points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I'm not going to read them all out because that might take a little while, but as is written in the agenda this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Binks. Councillors, do I have a seconder of the motion? Thank you, Councillor Carlson. Is the motion opposed or does any councillor wish to speak to the motion? Councillors, I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. I now move to page 24, 9.17, provision of mayoral, sorry, I have to get used to that, motor vehicle. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is? You're on a roll. Thank you, Councillor.
I'll go again. Mayor Ewart-Kennedy, I shall move the motion as written in the recommendation on page 24 of our agenda that council determine that a motor vehicle be made available for the mayor for full private use and to determine the monthly contribution to the upkeep of that vehicle to be deducted from the mayor's allowance at $235 per calendar month for the use of the vehicle. Thank you.
Councillors, do I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you. Councillor Carlson. Is the motion opposed or does any councillor wish to speak to the motion? I actually want to oppose. I don't support that motion. Okay, do I just have to declare it?
Yeah, you can declare opposition.
I declare opposition to that motion. However, I will now put the motion to the vote.
Those in favour?
In favour, by show of hands.
Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Stevens, Councillor Jeffrey, Councillor Binks, and Councillor Carlson.
And those against Clark. Yeah.
Sell.
The motion is carried. I now move to page 27, determination of board community representation 2024-25. Councillors, can I have a motion, please, and can you state what your motion is, please? Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Ewart-Kennedy. I'd like to move the motion on page 27 of our agenda and following the recommendation that council appoints councillors to council committees and as delegates to represent council on external and other committees as set out in the attachment 1, 2025 committee and board representations. And it is the following page in the agenda for those following along with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Binks. Councillors, do I have a seconder for the motion? Oh, we're going to go through them. Beg your pardon, sorry.
Just check with Councillor Binks if she knows who these are, then she can add that to the motion.
I don't know who they all are. There you go. My colleague does.
So CEO's Employment and Remuneration Committee is the mayor, and Scott Jeffries and Gregory Carlson.
Is there, in that case, is there anyone else that we have to call for or not? But that's
Just write down.
right. Okay, thank you.
Audit and Risk Committee is Clark Holloway, and the substitute is Scott Jeffries. Stop me if I'm wrong, please.
And the
We've got the mayor as well.
mayor. And the mayor.
And the mayor, sorry, as given, sorry. Municipal Association Victoria is the mayor and Vicky Nelson. So Victorian Local Government Association is Laura Binks.
Yeah.
The Rural Council is Victoria is Laura Binks and Fiona Stevens. Hume Region Local Government Network is mayor. Golden Valley Regional Library Corporation is Gregory Carlson. And the Colton Woodburn Memorial Avenue Advisory Committee is Fiona Stevens.
Don't just put it that. No, that's not on. Yeah. Yeah.
To accept those people. Reading that motion.
Councillor Binks, do you accept those names as part of you moving that motion?
If all my councillor colleagues are happy with the names that have been put forward, I do. Mayor Ewart-Kennedy.
Could I have a seconder to that motion? Thank you. Icky Halsall. Councillor Icky Halsall. Is the motion opposed, or does any other councillor wish to speak to the motion?
I just briefly want to speak to the motion because it's been a pretty unspeaking meeting so far. But if there's any opposition, mic's on. Yep. Yeah, I've got the dodgy one. Yeah. Thanks, though. I did that a lot, Tim. So this is a really great opportunity for lots of councillors to get out and get involved in groups both within our community and in the local government sector. And I think it's a really great opportunity for us to get a better hold on our role as councillors and how our council is going. And I'm really thrilled to see a great mix of councillors putting their hand up and putting, the time in, because it is additional time from our already busy council agenda to represent the council in these different boards and committees. And what's really important part of that is that we come back and report to our fellow councillors, because we're obviously there representing our council, and then we come back and share that information or that insight or whatever it might be that needs to be shared with our fellow colleagues. And I really look forward to hearing from you all and Julie sharing what I gained from my experience on BLGA and Rural Councils Victoria. Thank you, Mayor Ewart-Kennedy.
Thank you, Councillor Binks, for that insight. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? I'll now take a vote of that motion. If everyone can show that they're in favour by a show of hands. Carried unanimously. Next meeting. The next ordinary meeting of Strathbogie Shire Council is scheduled to be held on Tuesday, the 10th of December 2024 at the Euroa Community Conference Centre, commencing at 6 p.m. There being no further business, this meeting is closed at 6:27 p.m, which would be a record.